Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your spring break as much as I did. It's not like I went anywhere, but I did get a lot planned. So if you have not yet looked on Google Classroom or Class Dojo, I have a weekly art challenge sort of thing that will be posted where you can choose from 3 activities or do all of them and then post to Artsonia. Of course, none of it's being graded, but hopefully it helps guide you in your own creativity. So yeah, definitely go and check that out. And then I'm back to doing my readings and my online art lessons. So I did a lot of planning and preparation for the next, what do we have left, like 8 weeks of school or something. So without any further ado, we have 2 chapters left in our book. And a friend is sending another similar book, so hopefully it gets here soon. Otherwise, I'll fill the rest of the week with some other books that I have sent from my mom and that I was able to pick up from my classroom. So, 2 chapters left of Kid Artist Creative Legends, and today we're reading about one of my faves, Andy Warhol. Mother Knows Best. I know my mom knows best. Andy Warhol's colorful portraits of famous people helped him become one of the most celebrated pop artists of the 1960s. But he might never have made it out of Pittsburgh if not for the love and support of the biggest superstar of them all, his mother, Julia. Praised for his colorful portraits of cultural icons, Andy Warhol was known as the Prince of Pop. That is, pop art, a style of painting that he helped pioneer. However, the world he grew up in was anything but princely. In fact, Andy's parents often struggled to put food on the table for him and his 2 older brothers. Andre and Julia Warhola were immigrants who had moved to America from a small mountain village in the Carpathian Mountains of Eastern Europe, a region made famous by the author Bram Stoker in his horror novel Dracula. I want to suck your blood. As an adult, Andy would be known to his friends as Drella, a combination of Dracula and Cinderella, 2 of his favorite fictional characters. I never knew that. Get this computer a little closer here. We see, I am from the Carpathian Mountains. Me too, he says. The Warholas settled in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a city with large immigrant community. Andre, Andy's father, worked in construction and was away from home a lot, seeking out odd jobs to make a living. Julia, Andy's mother, was the artist in the family. She was a whiz at crochet, loved to draw angels and cats, and carved flower sculptures out of old soup cans, which she sold to earn extra money for the household. A nice little connection to the soup can that I didn't know about. When Andy was born, his family lived in a cramped 2-room apartment overlooking the Ohio River. The bathtub was in the middle of the kitchen. For a bathroom, they used an outhouse in an alley behind the building. At home, the Warholas spoke little English, communicating instead in a mixture of Ukrainian and Hungarian known as Ponasmu or Ponesmu. The language barrier made it hard for Andy to talk to the other kids in his neighborhood. As a result, he became shy and had only a few close friends. Andy had a few luxuries when he was growing up, but he tried to make the best of what he had. His parents couldn't afford to buy him a bicycle, so he rode on the handlebars of his friend's bike. A dog was too expensive, so Andy kept a pet chicken until one day his mother turned it into chicken soup. I guess dire times. Pet becomes food. Oh God, that's awful. That was a feast compared to the usual dinner time fare in the frugal Warhol home. A bland tomato soup made from ketchup mixed with water, salt, and pepper. Oh. When Andy was 4 years old, his older brother, Paul, enrolled him in the first grade at the local school. Andy was 2 years younger than most of his classmates, but Paul thought that being around other kids would cure him of his shyness. He was wrong. On the first day of school, a girl slapped Andy in the face. Andy was so upset that he cried all the way home and refused to go back the next day. Can't blame him. Paul thought Andy should return to class, but Andy's mother decided to let her son stay home until he was old enough to deal with strangers. When are you ever old enough to deal with strangers? For the next 2 years, while his brother was headed off to school, Andy remained behind with his mother. It turned out to be one of the happiest times of his life. Andy's mother used their time together to teach her son about creating art. She shared her tin can sculptures with him, and they took turns drawing pictures of the family cat, Sam. When the weather was nice, she and Andy would go shopping downtown. One time, Andy's mother bought herself a black felt hat. Andy decorated it with gold paint around the edges. It was one of his first solo artistic creations. And here you see Andy drawing the cat. It makes me think of the Titanic. Okay, Andy quickly developed a reputation as the local neighborhood's artist. When kids would play baseball in the street near his home, Andy positioned himself deep in the outfield, making it easy for him to scamper away when no one was looking. If the ball was hit in his direction, the other kids would discover that Andy was no longer there. He had run home to work on his illustrations. They found him sitting with his sketchbook, drawing flowers. And that's my kind of guy. I played outfield when I played like t-ball and coach pitch, and I didn't really get much done, to be honest. Andy's other interest was movies, and his hobby was to spend every Saturday morning at the neighborhood theater. His favorite film was Alice in Wonderland, and his favorite actress was Shirley Temple. While his brothers toiled on their schoolwork, Andy read movie magazines and kept a scrapbook of photographs of Hollywood stars. Eventually, he begged his mother to buy him a projector so he could watch movies at home. Julia took a job doing housework until she saved up enough money to buy the projector. That's a nice mom. She had no money left over for a screen, but Andy found a solution. He projected the cartoons onto the wall of his room. Then he drew copies of the characters in his sketchbook. You see him with an old-timey projector film reel. One reel would have the film on it, and it would feed through, and the light would shine it through, and it would then gather on the second reel. On Sundays, Andy and his mom attended religious services at the local Byzantine Catholic Church. Within this quiet space, he became mesmerized by the rows of holy icons, paintings of saints that hung over the altar. Later, when Andy became an artist, he modeled some of his portraits after these sacred images. When Andy was 6 years old, it was decided that he would go back to school. He was still shy, but he was learning to get along with strangers. His favorite part of the school day was lunch, when he could go home and slurp down a bowl of Campbell's soup prepared by his mother. What would you like for lunch, Andy? Andy found that his drawing skills helped him impress the other kids. He drew portraits of his classmates, decorated the blackboard with a special border according to the season, and created pictures for the classroom calendar. Teachers began to take notice of his artistic activities. Just as Andy was starting to feel more comfortable in the classroom, he fell ill, stricken with a bad case of rheumatic fever. One of the complications of his illness was a condition called St. Vitus's dance, a disorder that causes uncontrollable twitching. Andy now had trouble speaking clearly. His knees buckled when he walked, and he found it hard to tie his shoes or sign his name. When he tried to draw on the blackboard, his hand trembled. Some kids began to laugh at him. A few even started to push him around and bully him. Once again, Andy grew terrified of going to school. It's really sad. On the advice of the family doctor, Andy was confined to his bed for a month. Andy's mother moved his bed into the dining room so she could watch over him. She gave him movie magazines, paper dolls, and comic books to keep him occupied. See him working on his bed with the family cat staring at him. And there's one of the Campbell's soup cans as a flower vase. Before long, Andy's hand stopped shaking and he started drawing again. He enthusiastically colored in his coloring books. Whenever he completed a page, his mother would reward him with a chocolate bar. I would do that too. When Andy's prescribed month of bed rest was over, it was time to return to school. Andy insisted that he still felt sick, but no one but his mother believed him. His brother Paul insisted that he get back in the classroom. But Andy threw a tantrum and refused to budge. Since Andy's father was away at work, the Warhol's next-door neighbor came over, picked Andy up, and dragged him kicking and screaming to Holmes Elementary. I don't want to go. There's the neighbor pulling him along. Oh, man. Almost immediately, Andy suffered a relapse and his symptoms returned. In fact, now they were even worse. In addition to shaking, he had pimples, blotchy skin, and a bulbous red nose. Kids called him Spot or Andy the Red-Nosed Warhol. Upset, Andy went back to bed for another month. He resumed drawing, and his condition steadily improved. This time, his family and friends knew better than to force him to return to school. The doctor informed them that Andy could suffer yet another relapse. That's awful. I wonder if something triggered it. When Andy did go back to class, his older brothers looked out for him. Finally, they scared off bullies and warned away anyone who tried to make fun of him. They had come to understand that not only did Andy have a special talent, but he also required special care. Goodness, here's his brother standing up for him. All clear on this side. Step aside. Mr. Warhol coming through. Slowly but surely, Andy began to improve at school, and his teacher suggested that he take free art classes at the nearby Carnegie Institute, now the Carnegie Museum of Art. Andy quickly became the star pupil and eventually developed the technical skills he would need to succeed as an artist. But Andy was able to continue studying only because of his father's foresight back when he was still alive. Andy had lost his dad when he was 13 years old. Andy was so upset that his father had died that he hid under his bed and refused to come out until the funeral was over. Fortunately for Andy and his future, André Warhol had left plans to ensure that his son could fulfill his artistic potential. That's because, unbeknownst to the family, André had been saving money for Andy's education. Shortly before he died, André took Andy's brother John aside and made him promise to look after his little brother. You're going to be real proud of him, he said. He's going to be highly educated. In his will, André directed that the money be spent on his youngest son's college education. And so, in 1945, 18-year-old Andy enrolled at the Carnegie Institute of Technology to study pictorial design, which was like graphic design for then. After graduation, he moved to New York City and worked as an illustrator. Shortly after that, Andy's mother left Pittsburgh and moved in with him. Aww. Over the next 20 years, Andy became known for his portraits and screen prints of ordinary household objects like boxes of detergent and cans of soup. Throughout the years, his mother continued to cook, clean, and care for him just as she had when he was a boy. She also collaborated with Andy on art projects and published 2 books filled with drawings of cats. I have one of those books and a little stuffed cat doll still in the plastic. I should have grabbed that to show you guys, but oh well. So here's Mom. Do you like my cat drawing? I love it. Love that they're working together on cat drawings. Andy went on to become an international style icon known for his unique appearance. He often wore a white wig and dark sunglasses, and just like when he was a kid, his mother was always there for him, helping and inspiring him. She even became the subject of his art. Andy established his mother's celebrity status for all time by painting her portrait. Today, the likeness of Julia Warhol hangs in the Andy Warhol Museum in Pittsburgh. A very cool museum. If you've never been there, you should go when we're allowed to go back out. Her portrait appears alongside his other glamorous portraits of stars from film, music, and pop culture, such as Marilyn Monroe, Elizabeth Taylor, and Elvis Presley. It's the ultimate homage to his number one fan. You see a portrait of him standing in front of his Campbell soup cans. So, that was Andy Warhol. Tomorrow, another favorite of mine, Keith Haring. And I think that is the end of the book when we finish up Keith Haring tomorrow. But my task for you, if you're following along and doing artsy stuff inspired by the readings, is for you to find a grocery store item from the cabinet, any ordinary thing. It could be a Campbell soup can if you want to go in the style of Andy more directly, or it could be any popular product that you have that you like a lot. I think 13-year-old me probably would have done like Gushers fruit snacks or something like that. I remember thinking, when I make money, I'm just going to buy nothing but fruit snacks so I can eat them all the time, because that's all I ever wanted. Obviously, that didn't happen. I think probably in college I bought one box, ate them, and got sick. And I was like, all right, that dream is fulfilled. So, again, my task to you, find one object or product from your kitchen cabinet and draw it. Color it in with whatever you have, markers, crayons, color pencils, paint. Andy Warhol did something called screen printing, and it's kind of like making a stencil. So if you really want to take it an extra step further, you could make a stencil of your object. So if you're doing a can of soup, you make the cylinder and the label, but it's a little complicated. You might need an X-Acto knife and a board underneath it to protect the surface. So it's kind of a higher level thing, but yeah, that's a possibility. So I want to see those drawings of your normal, popular, everyday items that are in your kitchen cabinet. All right, and hopefully I see some of you online to make magazine beads today. All right, it's good to be back, digitally at least. All right, see you guys soon.